sorry. I knew you had it in you. I knew you were gonna make a trade. You got that menace D'Lo out of here. And you didn't give him a first round pick. I knew you could do it, Russ. I started doubting you, and then I just kept fighting every single move you made. I knew you had it in you, Rob. You did it. So the Lakers finally make a trade, and boy, is it a big one. And not because of some superstar being moved in this trade. Actually, this is the definition of a role player trade. But the reason why this is such a big trade for the Lakers is because it addresses a lot of their concerns while also keeping the flexibility for them to make even more additions and moves in the near future. And that trade, of course, is trading D'Angelo Russell, Maxwell Lewis, as well as 3 second-round picks to the Brooklyn Nets, and in return, receiving Dorian Finney-Smith as well as Shake Milton. Now, many of you all may not even be familiar with the name that I just listed off. So let me first break down what are the concerns with the Lakers. Well, the biggest problem that Lakers have had over the past 2 years is a two-way problem. When you're building a roster in the NBA, you want to be able to put out as many lineups as possible that consist of players that can give you a lot of value on one side without giving up too much value on the other side. And the Lakers have really been dealing with this problem for the last 2 years now. They have players such as Jared Vanderbilt and Cam Reddish, even Jackson Hayes from time to time, who some nights are really solid, good to great defenders, but are giving you very little to nothing and sometimes are flat out negatives on the offensive side of the floor. While on the other hand, having players such as Rui, D'Lo, and Reeves who are really solid, good to sometimes even great offensively, but again, giving you very little to nothing and sometimes even negatives on the defensive side of the floor. Because of this, there's way too much being compromised when it comes to the Lakers, and a lot of times it does come at the expense of their two best players in LeBron and Anthony Davis. The best example is what's being compromised defensively and how much this team just stretches Anthony Davis thin on that side of the floor. The lineup that many people are familiar when it comes to the Lakers over the last 18 months or so included of D'Lo, Reeves, Rui, LeBron, and AD, which offensively, really solid, can propel this team into conversations of being top 10 in the league, sometimes as high as even top 5, but defensively, the only player on that floor that could really give you consistent defensive effort was Anthony Davis. And effectively, this team was asking AD to be the best roamer, rim protector, still best rebounder, but also still wanting him to switch on the perimeter because he was also the best perimeter defender as well, which, I mean, at that point, I don't know how much ground you want one player to defend. And even if they wanted to throw in a player like Cam Reddish into some of these lineups, which is something that JJ Redick has been tinkering with over the past couple of weeks now, it still doesn't really matter because Cam is so bad offensively that you're still giving up too much on that side of the floor, while a player like Rui or Reeves is also so bad defensively that you're still just giving up way too much. Add on top of the fact that the Lakers just really struggle with athleticism, motor, and just were not getting enough three-point shooting throughout the first stages of this season, and that's where really the value of Dorian Finney-Smith comes into play. Dorian is the quintessential 3-and-D wing that has become extremely valuable in the NBA over the last 10 years now, and it is the piece that the Lakers desperately needed. So far this season, he's averaging 10 points per game, around 4 to 5 rebounds with the steal, but the shooting splits is what really sets him apart. 46% from the field, 43.5% from behind the arc, and yes, the free throw shooting doesn't look that good, but Dorian doesn't get to the free throw line enough for it to really matter. Like I alluded to earlier, three-point shooting has been a problem with the Lakers so far this season, which I had major concerns heading into this year, especially because Coach Redick was really pushing this ideology of getting as many threes up as possible while hopefully sustaining a level of accuracy that would put him in elite level status. Luckily for this team, they have not been able to accomplish that while still looking adequate offensively, but obviously they desperately need to address this concern as they sit towards the bottom of three-point attempts, actually bottom 3 in three-point attempts, only attempting 33 a game while being fairly accurate but not enough, shooting 35.3% behind the arc as well, which puts the Lakers near bottom 10 conversation in three-point percentage accuracy, and that's where DFS really steps in and adds a lot of value to this team. Attempting 5 threes a game while making 43.5% of them means that we're talking about one of the best catch and shoot three-point shooters in the NBA. In particular, at the top of the key, DFS is knocking down his three-pointers at a near 50% clip, and just in general, his non-corner three-pointers, he's converting those at a whopping approaching 45% clip, which is really transformative because that means that DFS isn't just one of these players who are really good just in the corner or really good just at the top of the key. It doesn't matter where on the perimeter, Dorian Finney-Smith can knock down the three ball at a really, really high clip. And when you watch him play, you can really see the level of comfort he has with the long ball shot. Off ball, he relocates, back pedals behind the line, knocks down the three. He's actually really good in pick and pop situations, which I do believe will mold well in the JJ Redick offense. But I do find it very interesting that he's an excellent transition three-point shooter, which is something that I do believe Redick also wants with a lot of these players on his team, but just couldn't get the most out of them. I think a lot of these players on the roster, those solid three-point shooters aren't real true shooters, and I do believe you're going to get an upgrade with that. So in terms of offense, he really does address a lot of the three-point shooting concern that the Lakers have had, while also complimenting LeBron and Anthony Davis in that factor also, because he's not really taking away from what those two bring to the table, as well as Austin Reeves, which is the biggest problem that many people had with D'Angelo Russell, where as an on-ball guard, he just felt very awkward on the floor. It's something that we saw last year as well. And with Reeves consistently progressing and starting to show real strides as an on-ball creator, D'Angelo Russell just didn't fit on his team, and we were really trying to make him be someone that he just isn't. And then we have the defensive side of the floor, and that's where I personally get really excited. Now, I know for a fact a lot of people want to see this video because y'all just love just making fun of me because I'm a Laker fan. Let me be clear, because I already see a lot of people just sitting here telling me in my comment section on Twitter like, oh my God, y'all think y'all in a rude awakening. Let me be clear. Do I believe that DFS is a lockdown defender? No. I understand that he's also a worse defender than where he was in Dallas. Of course, I know that, but I don't think that many of you all understand how bad D'Angelo Russell was defensively, how bad Rui is defensively, how bad a lot of these players are defensively. And so even though, yes, he's not as good as a defender he once was, he's not a lockdown defender, he's not going to win DPOY, it's an improvement that is desperately needed. And the biggest reason why I even love it even more is because he is the perfect type of defender to not only fit in the modern NBA, but also to put alongside Anthony Davis. He has a high motor, high IQ, can move his feet really well for someone his size, but more importantly, he's willing. And I don't just mean like, oh, I'm just going out there and I'm going to give effort because no, I'm talking about he's willing to defend not only ones and twos, but threes and fours, and even putting himself on five sometimes. He is willing to defend every position on the floor. How well he may execute it can vary from player to player, of course, but the reason why that's so important is because it allows now Anthony Davis to do what he does best, and that is play backline, roam a little bit more, and more importantly, not give up too much ground by switching on the perimeter, because now you have someone like Dorian Finney-Smith who can be on the perimeter way more often, while also defending some of the bigger ball handlers and wings, and also giving you some rotational help at the basket as well. That's why I love DFS. That's why this is a major addition, because it addresses, in my opinion, the biggest concern that the Lakers have had over the last 2 years. The Lakers needed a player outside of Anthony Davis that was going to be a willing defender. That's what they needed. Not the same player that he once was before, but there's a lot of metrics pointing to the fact that he's actually a really solid defender. Players so far this season, when being guarded by DFS, they are shooting 43.8% from the field, which is a 5% drop off from what these players normally shoot from the field when they're not being defended by DFS. Also, for Donovan Mitchell, he's held him 2 for 10 from the field. He's held Jason Tatum 3 for 9 from the field. John Morant 3 for 8 from the field. Jamal Murray 1 for 5 from the field. He has some really good moments defensively against some very versatile players that the Lakers just didn't have any answers at all whatsoever before this trade happened. And then when you look at the on-off numbers, it again points to the fact that DFS is a positive defender. When he's on the floor, the Brooklyn Nets had a defensive rating of 113. When he's off the floor, it jumped up to around 115.5. Now, let's be clear, defensive numbers aren't always the perfect way to gauge someone defensively. You obviously have to watch the footage or just watch the games, and when you do so, you would actually get a better understanding of how much better he is defensively, and a lot of these numbers don't really do him any justice at all. There's a lot of small things, a lot of extra effort that DFS provides to any team that I do believe will really change the landscape of what this team is looking for in terms of the Lakers. But the biggest reason why people are chattering about this trade, why they're in love with the transaction, and why so many people are speculating about what's next for the Lakers is because getting this deal done still afforded the Lakers the flexibility to add even more pieces to the roster potentially in the near future. Let's be clear, because I know for a fact some of y'all get nasty when it comes to the Lakers and me. I am not saying that DFS fixes all of the problems. No. It's good to make the right move in the right direction, understandably so. But this is not a, we're one trade away. DFS Russ is the answer to everything. No, he's not. He's not. This team still needs a 5 next to Anthony Davis. This team may actually need some guard rotation because a lot of these players have not been cemented yet. And I do believe there is a real concern, a real possibility that the Lakers need to properly prepare themselves post LeBron by bringing another star. Like, I think that actually is very, very real. But this is the right step in the right direction without losing way too many assets. I was under the belief that the only way that this deal was going to be able to get done is if you throw in first rounders, because the Lakers have effectively were trying to trade D'Lo for the last year and some change now, but couldn't get it done. So when I saw the deal get done, you're telling me no Rui, no Gabe, and no first rounders, no Dalton, no none of that? We just gave second round picks up, and yes, I'm saying we because I'm a Laker fan. So we still have tradable contracts, and we still have the first rounders as well. There's other teams that are tanking that have some 5 men that we could easily get, or we can just continue to hold on to our assets until some other star kind of presents himself while keeping some core pieces together as well. Because, I mean, what's going out there with the Sacramento Kings and De'Aaron Fox, that's very interesting. Very interesting. For those who may be unaware, Miles Turner is on an expiring contract. That's also very interesting as well. There's a couple of interesting options that the Lakers could kind of find themselves in just a couple of months when the offseason kind of kicks off, right? And the fact that we kept that flexibility, kept the draft picks, I mean, all of that sounds interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Now, how soon are the Lakers going to make a move? Who knows, right? Who knows? They could do it, I mean, tomorrow or the next day, or they could, again, just wait until the offseason and make a pretty big splash with some of the draft assets that they have. But I do know this. The fact that the Lakers are able to pull this off while keeping draft capital and keeping very pivotal players on their roster, the core fundamentals of who this team has been this season and how they've been able to really turn it around as of late. Some of these games without even LeBron James, I'ma just keep it at that, dog. So yeah, shout out to Shake Milton. I do believe a little bit of an interesting fold with this team now moving forward for the Lakers and their guard rotation. He may be able to provide some value, not giving him really high expectations to meet, but it will be kind of interesting to kind of see his progression with this team moving forward. And also shout out to D'Angelo Russell. As a Laker fan, I do want to at least take the time out to acknowledge you. You played really well for us in stretches when we needed you the most, in particular when we made it all the way to the conference finals. As of late, it was very clear that the fit was awkward. You were very redundant with whatever Reeves was adding to the team. But again, shout out to D'Angelo Russell. Even throughout the lows, the highs were still the highs. And huge shout out to Rob Pelinka, man. Again, as a Laker fan, the conversation, a discourse around the Lakers is so annoying. And it's on both sides. Like, the Laker fans, I get it. They are annoying. It's very frustrating to hear people online sit here and tell you why the Lakers, they just deserve every player that's available to them. And they just immediately go to Photoshop and just start clicking and going crazy and putting every nigga in the goddamn Laker jersey. Well, on the other hand, it's also very frustrating to see like how critical everyone is of the Lakers, even though the Lakers have done an okay job. I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm not saying it's the best, not even saying they're like a top 3 or 5 ran organization, but like this idea that the Lakers are like the worst organization, they have no idea what they're doing. It's so much BS, it's frustrating. And what's even worse is that when the Lakers are doing bad is when everyone like gets there, and I don't even call it content, it's just like rage bait, like hate content that they just get off. Oh my God, JJ Redick, he got the same record as Darvin. Now all of a sudden the Lakers are doing better. No one is talking about that at all. Oh my God, Bronny's not even an NBA player. I'm gonna make a video on his first, second, third G League game. I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna talk about it obsessively. Now Bronny's playing better. These people are not making videos. And the same thing with the front office of Rob Pelinka. It was like every single time we went through a month and nothing happened, it was like, oh my God, get rid of him. Oh, what is he doing? He's such a numbskull. He's so stupid. And again, some of the criticism is fair, but now when he does another really solid move, I know for a fact no one's going to sit here and talk about it. Like, I know no one's going to sit here and keep getting off the worst ran franchise in the NBA when you have organizations like the Sacramento Kings that literally have no idea what they're doing right now, got rid of Mike Brown, a really good coach, and didn't have the balls to talk to him. You have the Warriors pissing away some of the last better years of Curry's career, the Denver Nuggets letting players just walk in free agency for nothing, the Phoenix Suns believing that they have a big 3 with Bradley Beal being the third wheel, the Philadelphia 76ers giving a max contract to Tobias Harris, but now he's just in a Paul George uniform, the Chicago Bulls not knowing a thing that they're doing. Like, bro, there's so many organizations that are poorly ran right now. And the fact that the Lakers are the only one who gets the constant criticism, it's crazy to me. But hey, those are my thoughts. Shout out to the Lakers. Great trade, great move. Really addressed a lot of concerns. I'm giving them an A. If you give them anything worse than like an A- or a B+. I just think you're just a hater at that point. You're just hating. And shout out to the Brooklyn Nets. They're trying to rebuild, regroup, and just get as much draft capital as possible. Until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.